turkeys aren't going to enjoy a long life, but their short time on Earth will be enjoyable. Andreas Ziegler insists on it. His daily routine includes ensuring his 3,000 turkeys have clean water and fresh straw. Their ultimate fate is sealed, however. After 5 months, they'll be sent to slaughter. The Kramerhof in southwest Germany is considered a model poultry farm. The free-range turkeys are not injected with hormones. And the idea of them being washed in a chlorine bath, as sometimes happens in the U.S., is abhorrent to Ziegler. He's skeptical about other practices across the Atlantic.
The growth enhancers found in feed there have been banned for decades here. On top of that, they have high stocking density. Here you can see the turkeys roaming free. They're happy, and if they're happy, so are we.
Kramerhof has its own store where turkey and other meat are sold. It costs more than in German discount stores, but many customers are prepared to pay for quality. Still, many poultry farmers fear that if the TTIP trade agreement between the U.S. and EU comes to pass, they won't be able to compete with cheap American goods. Ziegler has a kindred spirit just a few hours north of Kramerhof. Felix Prinz Löwenstein has transformed his family farm in Odenwald into a thriving organic business. He's a strong critic of industrial farming and the proposed free trade agreement with the U.S. He says that small farmers in particular will suffer from the influx of cheap imported goods.
The more products come from places where they can be produced as cheaply as possible, the more regional economic cycles collapse. That's the flip side of globalization on a regional and global scale.
For months, the specter of the TTIP has been haunting Germany's fields. Löwenstein and many other farmers are calling for EU regulations to be upheld. They say that high farming standards, especially regarding the use of hormones and chemicals, have to be maintained. The German Farmers Association in Berlin says that all products have to be subjected to the same standards, including those from the U.S.
That's the crux of the matter. These conditions reflect the demands of the European market, but also to some extent those of politicians and society. We will of course have to make compromises, but we see these as being in terms of market access, not standards.
Prinz Löwenstein can only agree. He represents the organic farming sector on the German government's Committee on the Free Trade Agreement. He's annoyed by all the secrecy.
Whenever we ask concrete questions, what about GM technology or chlorinated chickens? We're told that has nothing to do with it. But nobody says what it does have to do with. That leads one to believe that people are totally against the agreement.
Like the Löwensteins, many farmers are following the negotiations very closely. Critics hope that the proposed EU-US free trade agreement will never come into existence.